Shalom, Yashrallah. This your brother Dawadah, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise unto Yahawah, BaHashem, YAHAWASHI, BaHashem, Rakach Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of great millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you. I keep pushing this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to touch on this here lesson, also like the scriptures say, to cause their own tongue to fall upon them. Over here at RT, they're pretty much blasting America for all their evil deeds. We're coming into this here time. Well, we're in this time now. All right, where all the wickedness of the so-called white man, who is the devil, is being exposed left and right, left and right. All right, but nevertheless, I wanted to bring this here article out because this is something that I often quite speak about, as far as the demonization of the men of the Lord, and how a lot of these different things really have to do ultimately with the men of the Lord, especially talking with the family of the word. You see, I refer a lot of the times to the Covington High School situation, talking about how that was propaganda, overt propaganda towards us, but nevertheless, they have all these other situations like, the R. Kelly situation, you know what I'm saying? And, not trying to, so-called support him or defame him or whatever, whatnot, but just as a slight little, observation, just to show you that this isn't what it all seems to be. For instance, one of the stories that's going around with R. Kelly is that he got some women kidnapped, and, he was recently arrested not too long ago. Right. And his women fans were the ones who wound up, bailing him out of jail. Well, I don't really follow this whole R. Kelly situation, so I'm not 100% sure of all his charges, but I'm pretty sure I didn't hear about this in his charges, And this is one thing I bring up when I hear people talking about this. Like, well, if y'all over here crying about how evil of a man he is because he didn't kidnap some women or whatever, whatnot, I'm like, well, these not children. These are like adults for one, and at like the age of 18, if the child don't want to stay with the parent, the child don't got to stay with the parent. Second of all, homeboy just got arrested and he wasn't charged with kidnapping nobody. And them women are still so-called under his possession. So if there was such a big problem and something wrong with what he was really doing, like, something legally wrong, the police, when they arrested him, would have freed those women. You see what I'm saying? But these are things that people don't think about. They just look about the propaganda. But nevertheless, there's an underlying story with all these things, When we look at these things, these are all images of basically the men of the Lord or things to come. You see what I'm saying? Well, and like the R. Kelly situation and things like that, and Bill Cosby, all those different things, In certain terms, they'll call it what? An assault on masculinity. All right. Or, how they say toxic male masculinity and all these different things like this. But when you really go into it, this is ultimately geared towards the men of the Lord, because really the real so-called alpha males or the real stand-up men, the real men on the planet Earth in this here time is what? The men of the Lord. They're the ones standing up in the face of those, standing up in great boldness in the face of those who oppressed them. All right. Standing up for what's right, standing up for righteousness, not evil, not just going to sit there and let that shit go. Like, well, whatever. That's just what they say. I'm just whatever. We standing up for righteousness and calling out all their wickedness. That's what real men are out there doing. But nevertheless, every time you have a so-called image of this, they so-called trying to demonize it, even with the Kaepernick, standing up for what he believed it, his heritage or what was done to them. You know what I'm saying? Just like I just quoted about, what is that? Wisdom of Solomon 5:1. Then shall they stand in great boldness in the face of those that afflicted them. That's, on a smaller level, that's pretty much what, Colin Kaepernick was doing. But what is that ultimately going into? When you see the men of the Lord, that's the image of the men of the Lord that you see out there, standing up in great boldness in the face of those that afflicted them, the so-called white men as a whole. All right. Or also, like I said, with the R. Kelly situation, you know what I'm saying? A man who has sexual desires, you know what I'm saying? And to have multiple women who willingly want to be with him. You see what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong, in today's society, they're making you feel like, there's something wrong with, having sexual desires, and this is a part of how do I say, the weaponization of these different things, just like how they hypersexualize the children, showing them all these different things to turn them out pretty much. But nevertheless, for men, all right, for modern day men nowadays, you can't even, have a sexual desire, you can't talk to a woman. Hey, about it at work, what I'm saying? Like, even if you don't have no type of sexual desire behind it, you know what I'm saying? You could so-called just say hello to a woman just because she's just passing at work, just to be like a normal human being. You walk into an office with somebody else, you're not going to just ignore them. You be like, hey, how's it going? But in this society nowadays, these women could just pretty much say like, oh, that was sexual harassment. You had this whole Me Too movement. But nevertheless, these are all weapons and tools that's ultimately aimed against how the men of the Lord are going to be standing up, and the things that not to say the things that they see as righteous, but the things that are righteous towards or according to the Most High, and according to His doctrine. You know what I'm saying? Like the scriptures, hey, you can have multiple wives. You got to treat them right. You know what I'm saying? You got to treat them a certain type of way. You know what I'm saying? You can't show favor towards one and basically hate the other one and things like that. All right. But here they tell you that you can't have multiple women. You see what I'm saying? But yet and still amongst our people, we practice, polygamy anyway. We don't have a problem with polygamy. You know what I'm saying? Subconsciously, we don't. You know what I'm saying? Cause like a lot of these women nowadays, you know what I'm saying? You'll get with a man that has multiple children already, one or multiple children with somebody else. And if he has a child with somebody else, you see what I'm saying? He's still, you know, depending on who he is, he'll probably still be taking care of that child. You know what I'm saying? And somewhat supporting that mother. You see what I'm saying? But yet y'all staying in different houses. You might have beef between one another. But instead, you know, if y'all all stayed under the same roof, y'all all got along together, y'all could be building as one bigger unit than just trying to be separate, you know? But this is the so-called white man, is the divide and conquer. But nevertheless, like I said, all these things are tools, covert tools against us to so-called demonize us. But like I said, covertly, it's not going to be out in the open. The so-called white man, this is part of one of his other weapons. All right. He has two different swords. All right. We all know that the so-called white man's blessing is his sword, right? The scriptures say, by thy sword thou shalt live. I believe that's like what, Genesis 27 and like 37 or 38, you know, pretty much, Esau's blessing, he was going to live by the sword, which is basically, like an actual sword, not to say actual sword, but symbolically like an actual sword. He was going to live basically by defense, like basically waging war on other motherfuckers and shit. Like, all right, fast forward till today. How was America spread across the whole damn planet Earth? You see what I'm saying? By his military. The military nowadays, his weapons, his warplanes, his tanks, that all represents the modern day so-called sword. Just like in the ancient days, they fought wars with weapons of war. All right. But nevertheless, this was one of his blessings as far as his so-called ultimate weapon was the actual physical sword. His other weapon would be basically a so-called metaphoric sword, which would be his tongue. All right. And this is why we call him the devil. All right. When you go into that word, devil, it means a deceiver. All right. Because homeboy is getting these things by deceitful means. He's not going to come out. Like I tell Jake all the time, man, like the so-called white man is the damn devil. This and that. You know, sometimes Jake, they'll be like, oh, well, I can't see this and that, or not all white people, this and that. And I'm like, you know, like the so-called white man is a very subtle beast. You know what I'm saying? He like the damn snake, man. A snake is not like a, you know, I can't even think of an animal right now. You know, you have some animals that's real loud or whatever, whatnot, that just come up, you know what I'm saying? That, you know, and they might eat like some plants or some shit, something that they ain't really got to be sneaky and chase down. But then you have animals like a snake or a lion, a cheetah, things like that they kind of prowl up, they sneak up on you. You know, they're very subtle. That's the so-called white man. He's not just overtly out there in your face. All right. So when it comes time to the so-called white man showing you hate, all right, you're not going to really see. Now, when you see these so-called racist white people that's running around talking about fuck you niggers, we hate you niggers, fucking coons and shit like that, them niggas there, really, you shouldn't even pay them niggas no mind. They just some real low level ass, like Edomites. I mean, hell, they that's the lowest level. They just, the fact that they even think like that and their statements come out like that should just let you know that they not even worth, you know, they don't know what the fuck they really talking about, you know. But the higher ups, you know, into this so-called racism and things like that, this hatred towards you, all right, the real ones that really hate you is a covert hatred, all right? It's not going to be outwardly, all right? You're not going to see like as you see with these things here and other things like, I'll give you one that the so-called government admitted to, the Tuskegee experiment, right? When the Tuskegee experiment came out and the government basically infected, you know, a lot of our people with syphilis, right? They was saying, oh, we was doing this for an experiment. We trying to test out certain things, this and that, to so-called further help things in the future, right? This was at the end all be all what they said that they was doing. They didn't just overtly just come out flat out and tell you, nah, nigga, we trying to kill y'all niggas. So come on down here so we can infect your ass. You could take this shit back to your family and you could spread it amongst your family and amongst your neighborhood in hopes that we kill all you niggas. They never said no shit like that. They still don't say no things like that. All right. Even when it comes to like, let's say what we're going to get into in this here article, a little bit of Venezuela. They're not on TV. You know, they kind of pretty much are, but they're not openly on TV saying, look, man, you know what I'm saying? We just want to steal we want to kill you and steal your shit. They're not really saying it. They like Nicolas Maduro is a brutal, you know, dictator or whatever, whatnot. He's killing his own people. He don't need to be up there. He's illegitimate. And if we have to, you know, all options are on the table, even if military removal, you know, so they, even with that, they're not coming out and telling you, you know, for a wise person to be able to see it, they'll say like, yeah, them niggas is finna come kill your ass. Right. But again, just like how I just put it, you know, Jake is very overtly. They'll tell you straight out, if Jake not fucking with you, they ain't fucking with you, man. They'll see somebody, even, you know it, in the hood, whatever, whatnot. You'll see somebody outwardly. You be like, man, stay your bitch ass over there. Don't even come over here, bro. Stay your ass over there. You see what I'm saying? I don't want no, don't even bring that. We're very, wear our heart on our sleeve, more or less to say. You can see, you know, we're very open about all of the things about us. We're not very subtle when it comes to things like that. Just like even when we speak with a lot of emotions and things like that. But the so-called white man, all right, if you was to compare us to like animals, Jake would be more or less like a dog. You know, a dog gonna show you, you gonna know when a dog happy, sad, want to play and shit like that. You're gonna kind of hear him running around the damn house. But Esau would be more like a cat, you know, very subtle and sneaky, very covertly, very like hidden, like, you know what I'm saying? He not gonna really let you know his business, what he doing. You see what I'm saying? But nevertheless, the point here I'm trying to make is when you dealing with the so-called white man and his war against you, all right, don't fall victim to the fact that because he's not out here overtly saying or not just saying with his mouth, but saying with his actions that we trying to kill you niggas, that's not what his MO is. All right. So don't fall into this trap. Not all white people, because some white people, I'll give you a quick story, you know, and this is actually, from an Edomite, and Edomite actually did this. This was, some chick that I knew back in the world, you know, years back. And she told me about some shit, and really, man, it's so spiritual how all this, you know, just meeting this person and understanding certain things and learning from this person certain shit just to see how these people get down. But nevertheless, this here, this female was talking, and she had this job at this bank. And then there was this other chick at the bank that, was really annoying to her. You know, this chick just was really, really annoying to her, whatever, whatnot, you know, and this was the type of annoying where it was like, she don't even really know she being annoying or whatever, whatnot. This is like, maybe she's like very lonely or whatever, or borderline slow. So she just think to everybody, her friend, hey, what you doing? How's it going? Let me show you about this. Let me do this and that. And the other person is just like, yo, I'm really not feeling you and whatever, whatnot. So the other chick wasn't really being malicious. She was just basically being annoying to the other person, not really trying to be annoying, whatever, whatnot. So it wasn't like they was just really fucking with this person. And, you know, what happened next was warranted. No, it wasn't like that. Well, anyway, girl number 2 just had a baby and everything like that. And she had her husband. But nevertheless, girl number 1 decided that because she didn't like girl number 2, and might I add on to that I found out that this chick was really into some witchcraft, but she actually happened to explain this situation to me, and I understood what was going on. But this is the type of witchcraft that they got going on over there. But girl number 1 told girl number 2, she was like, listen, she gassed her up, you know, pumped her head up, told her she was better than what she thought she was going on, trying to tell her she was better than, you know, you too good for your man, this and that, so on and so forth, making her look down upon her own man, you know, make her start despising her child. Your child always causing you to miss this and miss that and living your best life, so on and so forth. I think you better than that. You might need to be doing so on and so forth, you know. Then she wound up telling her, like, yo, I think that you might be better, you know, you might be suited for a better job than this. You know, it was bank tellers, you know. And then girl number 1 was really just transitioning into something different. So she was just at the bank for a temporary time. But girl number 2, the victim, had been there for quite a while. That was just her thing, you know. But anyway, she was telling her, she's like, you know what, I think you better than this job. Look, let me even help you try to find a better job, you know? So homegirl wound up trying to find this girl a better job. She actually found her a better job, which was actually a better job, you know, better paying job and everything like that, right? Got the girl a better job and everything. You know, the girl wound up leaving the bank, getting a better job. Now, you hear the story, you just think like, well, she wound up doing good by her, you know? She wound up, you know, getting this girl a better job, so on and so forth. But in reality, you know, girl number 1 was telling me about how bad she hated this chick and so on and so forth. And then come to find out this was the plan she devised. But now looking at this all spiritually, she was just like, yo, you just divided her between her and her husband when they had a happy relationship by planting evil seeds in her mind. Her and her newborn child that she just had, you know, that she was in love with, always showing you pictures and stuff about. You done drove a wedge between them two. And it's not even a wedge because you trying to get, like, let's say you drove a wedge between her and her man so you can get with her man. You don't even know her man. You don't even want to get with her man or nothing like that. You just don't like this person. All right. Then you also got this girl up out of this job that she's been in for a while. She liked. You actually got her a better job, but you got her a better job to the point where you knew, and you actually told me that you got her a job that you knew that she would ultimately fail at, and she would be out of 2 different jobs, and it would basically destroy her life. But, you know, I say that to say this, you know, that story was, you know, for the testimony of this. All right. The girl number 1 who didn't like girl number 2 didn't attack her with so-called overtly maliciousness. She didn't go out there and cuss her out, get her fired from the job or nothing like that. In fact, she actually got her another job knowing that she would get fired on her own from the other job. All right. This is how Esau works. All right. So you have to understand your enemy sometimes. All right. So a lot of the things that Esau gives you is not going to necessarily be for your own benefit. Mainly everything that he gives you nowadays is for your destruction, like these apps, these cell phones, all these different things. We're going to go into this here article is about these here video games. All right. Now, the point here about this article is not the fact that, oh, video games are wicked or whatever, whatnot. That's not the point. The point here is the tactics that the so-called white man uses, and not to get caught up in these type of tactics, because before you know it, you could be into something not even knowing that you being propagandized or programmed about certain things. And just as another situation, all right, it's been, you know, uncovered that Netflix, right? Netflix is pretty much a like a CIA backed organization, more or less to say, you know, they're pretty much ran by them, you know. They're used to propagandize the masses. They know a lot of the people are watching these TV, so all these Netflix original series and things like that, inside of them they have these messages, which we'll go into in this article, all right, that pre-program you about certain things and to accept certain things when they come to pass, or so you be more acceptable. All right, the real war is on you right now, and it's the war on your mind. All right, again, going back to this damn devil. All right, that's one part of his sword. All right, so he's got the tongue, which is a deceiving tongue. All right, homeboy gonna come down on you with the information war first to deceive you in the mind, and then he's gonna come down on you with a physical sword. All right, a physical war where he actually physically destroy you. All right, so like I said, with these different organizations and institutions like what do you call it, Netflix and these video games and all these different things like that, it's out there to push your public opinion. So when you're watching, let's say, these TV shows or whatever, whatnot, just know that, you know, you don't want to get too hooked into any of these things. You know, you don't want to be so on and so forth, because little do you know it's rubbing off on you in a certain type of way. Now, another thing about these video games, which they're going to speak on this game, Call of Duty. All right. They openly tell you that, you know, this game was created by the military. All right. And plans and preparation for the drone program. All right. So when they came out with the drones, all right, they needed somebody with accuracy to be able to control these things, like with a joystick. All right. So all these things that we think that we getting for luxury, like video games, is all actually being created as a weapon against us, just like these cell phones, these apps and FaceTime and all this stuff. So you have to be wary about these devices. All right. We're not ignorant of Satan's devices. All right. So this is, again, why I'm bringing this here out, so you can understand your enemy a little more. All right. Not be so happy about your things, you know. And a lot of people, you know, have the mentality of like, well, I mean, we got it anyway. Hey, man, you don't want to get too caught up in a lot of these things. All right. Just like, I don't even want to go into that, but nevertheless, you just want to be mindful of all these things. All right. But nevertheless, let's get into this here article. It says, Venezuela sabotage, evil Russians. 5 times video games were just blatant U.S. war propaganda. Oh, I know. Let me finish that statement about the drone program. They needed people to be able to control, you know, with the joysticks and have a good hand-eye coordination. Because if you ever play any of those type of video games where like you got a scope and stuff like that, or any of those online army games, right? You got multiple players online. It's real time. They moving this and that. So you have to be highly precise, highly accurate, this and that, to be able to hit it on a dime. This is a small little pin. All right. So this is how they wound up getting the first round and the first trainees to be able to go into the drone program. They was just basically watching you playing Call of Duty, and these high elite players, you know what I'm saying? These really, really good people are with these high kill death ratios or whatever, whatnot. That's the reason they have that shit in them games anyway. They're basically watching you to see if you, you know, like the Men in Black type of shit, if you actually qualify for this or that. Not all tests or not all things that you went to is not really what it seems to be. You might be thinking you doing something for enjoyment, playing a video game because you think it's fun, when really the government's sitting there watching you, seeing if you actually good enough to be a drone pilot. All right. But nevertheless, getting into this here article, it says it's been long known that Hollywood works hand in glove with the CIA to produce entertainment embed or unsubtle pro-US messaging. But the use of video games as propaganda, while as common, is less talked about. A producer for Venezuela-based news outlet Tesser tweeted a video on Monday showing clips from the 2013 Call of Duty Ghosts, which appeared to foreshadow massive electricity blackouts, which left Venezuela's capital city, Caracas, in almost total darkness in March. Now, here's a little video. I'm not going to play it. It's actually in Spanish, and it really doesn't really detail too much of anything. I don't play this game, so I don't really know what the hell going on. It might make a little more sense to people who play the game, but nevertheless, you get the point. They pre-show you this shit in these video games, All right. This, they say in 2013, Call of Duty featured Caracas as the site of a war scene in Venezuela, a first-person shooter game which also depicted the Giri hydroelectric dam. Part of the mission is to install a virus in electrical systems to generate a blackout. So that's the important part of the, the visual that they're going to show you in there. You see what I'm saying? It says, in the game, U.S. Special Forces are seen on a mission to cause a blackout by installing a virus into the computer at the Giri hydroelectric dam, the very same location where under major failure caused the recent blackouts, which Venezuelan government blamed on the U.S. The game's creators said in 2014 that the Activision publishing company brought in outside help to produce the game, including military advisors and planners in the Department of Defense. In reality, that's a bullshit statement. They didn't bring in outside help. The outside help that they're talking about, like they clearly tell you, is the military advisors in the Department of Defense are the ones contracting out these companies, not contracting out these companies. They create these companies for this purpose. All right. So, for instance, like they would tell you that, like, Facebook, you know what I'm saying? They reach out to the Department of Defense, the military, the FBI, the CIA to help them fight off terrorists or whatever, whatnot, or for whatever means, when in reality, it's the other way around. The CIA, the FBI, they create these things to use it as a web to catch in and draw in what they're looking for. All right. Or shape the river and the course that they want it to go. All right. But nevertheless, going back up into how they talk about these blackouts was foreshadowed in this here video game. All right. They do all these things, like I said, to so-called, not propagandize, but, to pre-program you. All right. Predictive program you. So if you see these images multiple times over and over and over again, when you actually see them, it's not all that far-fetched. You kind of fall right into play, like, for instance, the movie The Purge. All right. A lot of Americans have seen these things. So, like, if there was a so-called staging event to trigger something like that, people would just fall in line knowing how to react and so on and so forth. But let's just say the same situation happened and nobody ever seen that movie, and they would just be looking in shock and awe, like, well, what the fuck did we do? You see what I'm saying? Well, what the hell is going on? What's going on outside? People would just close their doors and it would probably just fizzle out. All right. But you have to understand that they have these agent provocateurs who start these things, and the people who've already had these seeds planted in their mind, predictive program. All right. Once they trigger it from what they already know, they just go ahead. Hey, we already know what's popping. Let's go ahead and get it. Like, that movie Red Dawn, you start seeing Chinese, parachute, troopers parachuting in. You kind of already know what the fuck going on, 'cause you didn't seen the movie a million times. You see what I'm saying? And you just act according to what they've already programmed you to do. All right. Continuing on, it says, here's a look at some of the other games that don't exactly do subtle when it comes to pro-U.S. propaganda. Regime change in Bolivia. While special forces are back in Ghost Recon Wildlands 2017, but this time the setting is in Bolivia, where a brutal Mexican drug cartel called Santa Blanca is propping up another bad government. The good Americans working for the CIA must infiltrate Bolivia on the side of the harmless rebels to protect and liberate the innocent villagers we see dotted around the Bolivian landscape. All right. Which pretty much sound like how they go in, like with Syria, we the moderate rebels or whatever, whatnot, when really they put in place to destabilize these countries. All right. America will send two different, sets of military men over there. They'll send one side as the so-called propaganda, and then they'll send in the so-called mainstream military. They'll send in so-called spies or agent provocateurs to go in and look like the bad guy. All right, set up a bad guy, make a boogeyman, then they actually send in the troops to go in and squash the boogeyman. All right, propagandizing all sides of the field. All right, so going back up to that power attack, how they was talking about in that video game. All right, they could have sent in so-called special forces or an elite team to secretly go in and telling them, we got to do this to take out these terrorist groups. We got to knock out their power before so-and-so do. We got to install this so this doesn't go down. And they just thinking they doing what they supposed to be doing. All right. And then all of a sudden, another group of, the mainstream military go in. They believe that it's a attack from the government of that country. And they go in and try to, kill that government, not knowing that their own government is pitting both sides at each other just to get their agenda taking place. All right. That's what this is all about. To propagandize. It's an information war. Right. It says, dispose of Venezuelan dictator. Off to Venezuela again for the 2006 game Mercenaries 2, World in Flames. And, hey, look, Mercenaries 2. A mercenary is basically a paid, like a contractor, a military contractor. You paying a hitman or a group of hitmen or a kill squad. You're not using the American military to fight your battles, you're going to use a proxy or, you know, a paid group, i.e. Al-Qaeda, Syria, or Al-Qaeda or ISIS or whatever, whatnot, you know. It says off to Venezuela again for the 2006 game Mercenaries or Blackwater. America used to use this thing called Blackwater, which they got different names now. World in Flames, where the goal is to oust a power-hungry tyrant who messes with Venezuela oil supply, sparking an invasion that turns the country into a war zone. And it's ironic that they say Mercenaries 2 World in Flames, knowing that this is all going to end up in what flames? World War III, all right? Talking about it was sparked over Venezuelan oil supply. All right, it says the game developed by Pandemic Studios, which has also developed training aids for the U.S. military, is set in what makers called a fully destructible Venezuela, and was criticized upon its release by the government of Hugo Chavez, which said it was an attempt to drum up support for a real invasion. And again, just like what I'm telling you, what predictive programming is about, that's, you know, to spell it out for you. It says America's Army is the official U.S. Army game, which provide young Americans with a virtual web-based environment in which they can explore an Army career. AA was developed and offered for free as part of post 9/11 campaign to help recruit new members to the military. So this, let me keep reading. It says it was revealed in 2009 through the Freedom of Information Act request that the game cost American taxpayers $33 million over 8 years. So the American taxpayers are paying for this basically Department of Defense program. All right, basically to propagandize or brainwash these Americans, just like how they blaming ISIS. Oh, you turning people to be terrorists. Well, really, this is what America's doing. They're using their video games and all these different things. You see what I'm saying? Where basically this game company got this game developed basically for free to them. All right, but the American taxpayers, me, you, him, and her, had to pay for this here video game to propagandize our children, our own selves. You know, if you got children of these ages to play these video games, or if you play these video games, you see what I'm saying? Your taxpayer dollars is being paid out of your hard-earned paycheck to brainwash you, all right? And to drink this here Babylon juice to see America's enemies as your enemies. You see what I'm saying? It says evil Russians on the Eastern Front. Turning to World War II, the 2013 game, Company of Heroes. And as another observation, I saw this with that game Fortnite, this Battle Royale. I compared that Fortnite game and the craze that it had with the Purge, you know, every man for himself. You know what I'm saying? And all these other war games coming out, the World War I, World War II games, getting people in a mindset state of world war again. All right, modern combat or modern warfare, or, you know, all these modern day wars and things like that. Then you had the game Halo and stuff, where I think he was fighting like aliens in outer space or some shit like that. But these are all the things coming to pass, so that when these Americans see these things come to pass, most of them will be brainwashed and ready to fight the Lord anyway, ready to fight the men of the Lord anyway, ready to fight Esau's enemies and his opponents anyway. All right. It says, turning to World War II, the 2013 game Company of Heroes caused controversy in Russia over the presence of unnecessary brutal Russian characters who kill for fun of it. In one instance, the evil Russians even burned down civilian homes. Popular Ukrainian game bloggers and developers told gaming websites Polygon that the game manages to use almost every single Russian-related trope, and that the missions even inexplicitly show Soviet soldiers killing more of their own people than the enemy. See, propagandizing, making the boogeyman out of somebody else, saying, you know, defaming or slandering these people's name, you know, demonizing them. The American characters, unsurprisingly, were depicted in a far more positive light, just like everything else America does, all right? It says, culture of consent. Former associate professor of communications and journalism at Suffolk University in Boston, Nina Huntman, wrote in a 2010 paper that video games are a vital part of U.S. government efforts to create a culture of consent. I'm going to just leave it at that. A culture of consent. All right. Because again, this is what Esau is doing. He's propagandizing you. He's predictive programming you. All right. He's making you believe, he's feeding you Babylon juice. You see what I'm saying? He's feeding you that wine. All right. You getting drunk off the wine of Babylon. All right. Now here it says, culture of consent of war, but it's not just war. You know, what this article is about and these video games are about. Yeah, it's talking about war, but not just that. Look at your children and who their idols are, the hip hop artists and so on and so forth. Yeah, you could say it's Jake that's out there doing it, but who owns these record labels? Who's the ones playing these records? Who's the one who owns all these things? Is telling you what's okay. All right, who's telling you, who's signing you, who's putting you on? Who's the one promoting these images that our people see and all these different things? All right, who's behind all these things? Obviously, that these things are like, why the fuck was the military want anything to do with a video game? I thought y'all was in like warfare and killing people. What you got to do with entertainment and stuff like that? Unless it how do I say it? It not values you. It benefits you in some kind of way. All right. Obviously, it benefits you in some kind of way. Like they say, it helped drum up people to join the military or support the military, fight, not come against the military. Like, yo, y'all just stealing people resources. Nah, you see all these things that propagandize you about these countries. You think all these bad things, you know, like for instance, North Korea. I ain't never been to North Korea. I don't know nobody from North Korea, but we all would think over here in America, it's a hermit kingdom. They have like a brutal dictator. It's just horrible over there, so on and so forth. Again, I don't know, but everything that I know about North Korea, I'd have been told by America, which examining them by their fruits, we know that they ain't nothing but the devils. They deceivers. This is what they do. So for me to sit there and just believe that, just, you know what I'm saying? Just based off of what he telling me, hey, he the same person who told me I wasn't shit. I was just a nigga, but come to find out, hey, I'm, you know, the Lord's children. You see what I'm saying? So you can't just be, you know, you got to understand your enemy here. All right. Now, this is almost over with. I think this is the end of the article down here anyway. But this is, you know, the meat of this here article because it breaks down this here propaganda. All right. It says this soft propaganda. Hold on. Let me just read this here. Ending part of this here paragraph. It says Nina Huntman wrote in her 2010 paper that video games are a vital part of the U.S. government efforts. Now, let me just put some commas and some shit like that in here. It says video games are a vital part of the U.S. government. All right. So just keep that in your mind. Not just video games. It's not just knocking video games. Your music, your TV shows, the movies that you watch, you know, your culture, all these little different things, all the news stories, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, about the R. Kelly situation, you got to be, all these things that so-called make these headline news, you got to understand the so-called white man, which is the devil, all right, is aiming, he's seeking out who he can destroy, who he can weed out. He's not worried about the 2/3. All these things is aimed and devised the men of the Lord and the elect who's going to be waking up, all right? This is why they're pushing out all these big stories about certain things going on to further distract our people, all right? It says, the people need to consent to our government participating in war. It says, now let me stop there. It says the people need to consent to our government participating in war. Why do they need the people's consent? All right. It's simple because if the people don't consent, then they obviously just not agreeing. They just obviously see like, yo, dog, you not doing what you say you doing. You're not liberating people. You're not saving people. You're not doing this and that. You just cold-blooded murdering people. This is what the fuck you doing. But if they can get people to agree that they're not just out there cold-blooded murdering, rape, robbing, and murdering people out there in the streets, and they're going over here to bring democracy and freedom and liberate people, but then at the end of the day, everybody just realized, well, that didn't go so well. Hey, we fucked up. We didn't accomplish what we wanted to accomplish. You see the same, but people keep getting propagandized, just like with Venezuela right now. Oh, it's a monster over there. It's a dictator. Like, yo, but look at what the outcome has been in the last 5 countries we've been in. You see what I'm saying? In the last 20 years. You see what I'm saying? But what? Again, it says the people need to consent to our government participating in the war, because if they don't, they just acknowledge and like, yeah, y'all just some cold-blooded murderers out here. We not supporting this shit. We're not paying taxes, which is funding your military to go out there and rape, rob, and murder these other nations. All right. They need you to keep fueling their Jake, especially Jake. Jake is basically giving their enemy their ammo, and really all these damn Americans that's not in league with these elites, with these damn elite devils, is fueling the damn elite devils. You see what I'm saying? Because it's the lower level people who's fueling all of these things. Like we just read about this one video game. Taxpayers paid $33 million to create a video game that was going to help propagandize Americans and get them to go fight these damn wars, go lose their lives for the gain of these elites. All right. But you wouldn't understand that because you just think you're buying a video game for your own entertainment purposes. You see what I'm saying? It says, the people need to consent to our government participating in war. To do that, we need a whole process of teaching us from childhood that killing is a legitimate mode of conflict resolution. Let me read this again slowly. All right. And not to be facetious, I just want this to go, through your mind to understand like these, again, that's what I'm saying. Look, Esau not going to come out to be like, yo, we trying to kill you fucking niggas. All right. What they doing is right now, this is an excerpt from these motherfuckers basically sitting at one of these small round table think tanks, like in Psalms 83, when they talk about devising the crafty counsel on how to cut us off. They use words like this. They don't just, Jake could have wrote this like, yo, dog, we need to start scheming on these niggas on how we going to take these niggas out. If Jake was to write it, that's how it would be read. But this is how Esau write it. But it's the end. It's the same end. They trying to kill your ass, basically. Just say it plain to Jake how Jake understand it. All right. It says the people need to consent to our government participating in war. So let me just break this down for Jake, because Jake, I only care about Jake. You see what I'm saying? I don't care about these other nations, but I'm gonna read it to you and translate it to you as, how it is. It says, the people, or you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you Israelites, need to agree with your enemy, the so-called white man. Now, this is him writing this to you. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who are the Israelites, need to consent to your slave master, your enemy, the so-called white man. All right, need to consent to our government participating in war. All right, participating in war against you and your sons and your daughters and your children and your family. You need to consent to that. You need to agree with us that we need to be killing your people. So this is why we need to brainwash you to do these things. Why we need to propagandize you. This is why they use these different things. This is why you have the R. Kelly situation going on. Like, I keep getting mad about that whenever somebody bring that up. Like, yo, we knew he was doing this shit back in the day. We knew about Aaliyah back in the day. Dave Chappelle made fun of him about pissing on people, but we kept buying his music. Why is it that now when a so-called white man start blasting them on the news, now we take offense to it? We have to understand there's a bigger agenda behind all these different things, and what's really going on behind this. It's not about him and some girls or whatever. Same with Michael Jackson. Like, why are we even talking about this shit? Like, the same people who accused them that they went to court and found out that nothing happened is coming back again because they want some money. But now they want to defame these certain people who did certain things. Michael Jackson had a certain type of messages and things he talked about, but now to defame all these things, to bring up certain aspects of what he was talking about, like they don't care about us, those type of messages, they trying to suppress this. But if you think about him as a pedophile, you know what I'm saying, you don't even want to hear what he had to say. Demonization of our people, you see what I'm saying? And they're doing the same thing towards the men of the Lord, all right, trying to ultimately cut us off, all right? It says, this soft propaganda, she added, helps persuade the public by telling stories with universal appeal where the sides of good and evil are unquestionable. So they trying to paint in the picture of who is good and who is evil. But in reality, hey, you should be able to clearly see who good and who evil, but that's not true. This is the devil he talking about. He coming and deceiving your ass. So it would be clear as day to be like, all right, well, you ain't, like, just in the simplest form, you're not over here killing nobody, but this motherfucker over here killing nations. It's clear to me that he evil and you good, right? But they got to use this soft propaganda. All right, let me read this again. It says, soft propaganda, she added, helps persuade the public by telling stories with universal appeal where the sides of good and evil are unquestionable. So in a sense where you can clearly see that this guy killing people, he a bad guy. This guy is saving people, he a good guy. They have to tell these stories to persuade the public that the roles have actually reversed. It's actually the opposite of what you normally see and you can discern. Like, this is good and that's evil. They have to flip the roles just like everything else on the planet Earth that they're doing right now. What was that? Isaiah 24 talk about basically the earth fading away in the earth language because of I'll have to grab that in scripture so I don't mar it up, but basically because they you know, they didn't turn to you know, the Most High set everything up in an order. He had a certain way to do certain things, you know what I'm saying? He had a recipe on how to bake these cakes, but Esau then came and just created a whole new recipe and wondering why he not getting this, you know. He brought recipes for a chocolate cake and wondering why the fuck he can't get the strawberry cake. Like, yo, the original recipe was for a strawberry cake and you brought ingredients for a chocolate cake and you wondering why you keep getting a chocolate cake. All right. But this is why the world got to be destroyed, because you keep fucking everything up. All right. It says, it is no secret that the earliest forms of digital gaming were heavily funded by military spending. All right. Not only for the purpose of propaganda, but to develop tools to train recruits. Like I was saying about the drone program. But hey, look at the two purposes of why they created these video games. Like I'm saying, all these so-called luxuries that we have in our lives, cell phones and smartphones, apps and internet and all that. This is not really what the internet was kind of created for, you know, the men of the Lord. But other than that, all these different things, you know, and it was also going to be a snare to the so-called white man. But all these other things, we don't have no real luxuries in our life, man. They talk about America's the golden city, which it is. But I'm saying as far as, yo, we got everything here. Everything's so lovely. But really, we totally enslaved here, man. All these things around us is here to destroy us or spy on us and destroy us ultimately. All right. It says there's no secret that the earliest forms of digital gaming were heavily funded by military spending. All right. So they changed, you know what I'm saying, going back to the days of playing cards to when they came up with video games. They didn't create these video games for your sons and your daughters to have fun and to pass by time. Nah, it's for you to sit there to manipulate you, to control you. All right. Not only for the purpose of propaganda, but to help develop tools to train recruits. All right. And how they train you, they propagandize you or programming you. All right. Historian Nick Truce told Guardian in 2012 by the late 1990s, the U.S. Army was pouring tens of millions of dollars into the Institute of Creative Technologies at the University of Southern California, specifically to build partnership with the gaming industry in Hollywood. Like I said, it's not just about gangbanging on video games. It's, you know what I'm saying? It's not to say that, you know what I'm saying? Like, like technology is not really good or evil. It's how you using it. All right. So this is not a knock against, if I named a video game that you was into, whatever, whatnot, this not talking about that like that. It's just being able to observe the movement of your damn enemy and how he using these things. So don't get too friendly. You know what I'm saying? Like, with your smartphones and things like that. Hey, that's why a long ass time ago, I got off of, Facebook and all that shit. And I ain't never really used none of the newer shits like the Twitters, the Instagram and shit like that. It's been damn near like 10 years since I used that, because way back when I knew that was basically a CIA tool. Like, yo, wait a minute. They don't got to send spies over here to spy me out. I'm putting all my information in right now, and this is pretty much what all these so-called luxury gadgets and accessories we got now are turning out to be. All right. It says video games were all but invented by the Pentagon. Video games and realities have become intertwined that in 2010, the United Nations investigator called a halt to CIA-directed drone strikes in Afghanistan and Pentagon. He warned that killings ordered from afar could lead to a PlayStation mentality. But like I said, that's actually bullshit. It's the reverse of that. The PlayStation mentality, you see what I'm saying? First of all, you had regular boys. The so-called white man came out here with his military and created these damn video games. Programmed these motherfuckers to be killers and shit like that. Precise killers too. Then he created these damn drone programs and then used these motherfuckers he didn't program to be precise killers and put them in a drone program situation. But then now they trying to talk about, well, we need to put a halt to this drone program because we don't want a PlayStation mentality. There's no such thing as a PlayStation mentality. You created a monster to begin with, and then you created it and you hid it in a package called PlayStation and Xbox and shit like that, Nintendo and all that, and gave it to these people. It was a hidden, like a Trojan horse. Then later on, when you develop your damn super soldier, they out there on the killing fields. All right. But if any more proof was needed that the U.S. government sees video games as the perfect tool for soft propaganda, look no further than former CIA William Colby, who upon retiring from that job went to work for video game company Activision to develop spy thriller video games. All right. And so, hang on one second. Let me, all right. But nevertheless, as we can see here, you know what I'm saying, this is nothing new to them, all right? Now they want to, you know what I'm saying, put the focus on the so-called video games, but just the fact that in this here article, they, is being exposed. They how do I say? They hide these things in your video games, you know what I'm saying? When people talk about conspiracy theories and so on, they had this in The Simpsons and so on and so forth. Like, nah, bro, it's not a so-called coincidence or this and that. They put these things in these movies and these video games and this music before it all happens, man. All right. Like the scripture saying Isaiah 14, talking about, I'll be like the Most High. Where do you think the white man, so-called white man, getting all his tactics from? All right. The Most High then basically predictively programmed all of us and propagandized all of us from the jump street. All right. This is what the whole scripture, foundation is basically, is prophecy. All right. He told you what was going to happen beforehand. All right, way beforehand, he done wrote it all out. You see what I'm saying? We rehearse these righteous acts, so when it come to pass, we already know wisdom and knowledge should be the stability of that time. We already know that the chariots is coming. We know the thermonuclear missiles is coming. We know how to react when these things come. So the Most High ultimately pre-programmed us, predestinated us, and put us on that path based off of what he programmed us to do from the jump. But the so-called white man trying to be the Most High is trying to do all this in left-hand side. All right. So I'm gonna start out here in the book of Luke 10. All right, I'm going to read this through kind of quick. I know I've been going for quite a while, so I'm going to go through these scriptures kind of quick. All right, it says Luke 10:21. It says, in that hour, YAHAWASHI rejoiced in spirit and said, I thank thee, O Father, Lord of heaven and earth, that thou hast hid these things from the wise and the prudent, and hast revealed them unto babes. Even so, Father, for it seemed good in thy sight. All right, now going into being hidden from the wise and the prudent. you have a lot of these people right now on the internet being so-called conspiracy theories, trying to put some things together, and oh man, so and so, like, you know, with the Nipsey Hussle thing. I don't know why he died or whatever, whatnot, but whatever going on with that. But, you know, as soon as he died, there's a huge wave of this shit. You know, that's how I found out homeboy was dead. You know what I'm saying? The shit just took over the internet. People putting up videos and getting hits talking about, the Dr. CB deal. You know what I'm saying? And it seems like that all these people are so-called wise, and I know what's going on. I know what's going on in these so-called conspiracy theories. Oh, the flat earth. I'm so, you know, these people profess themselves to be so smart and so wise, but yet these things of the Lord, are hidden from them. All right. You got all these so-called deep people, for instance, polite, and how, you know, or how they have, talking about the Nation of Islam, certain people, cause they can tell you, you know what I'm saying? You know, and hey, there's nothing wicked with knowing, how big the earth is and all these so-called facts or whatever, whatnot. There's nothing wicked about that, but you'll see these people and you'll think of these people super wise, but they can't see the simplest things that the Most High has, not to say the simplest things, but let me read it like how it's written. It says, I thank thee, O Father, Lord of heaven and earth, that thou hast hid these things from the wise and the prudent, the ones that think that they know it all, or they think that they super smart and shit like that, and it has revealed them unto babes. So these babes is basically like put it just like the metaphor that they using, you know, a regular full-size adult, you know what I'm saying, has way more understanding and wisdom than a newborn child. But just like how that adults, I know better. I'm grown. I know better. All right. Well, you think you know it. I'm going to give it to this here babe that don't know nothing. The one that's like a sponge that's ready to absorb all these things, because you got to be reprogrammed. You've been propagandized from the jump street. Now I got to reprogram your ass, or brainwash your ass, or baptize you so you can be cleaned. You know, baptism, being baptized is more or less like you basically like taking a bath. You out in the mud, you got to be dipped into the water, cleaned of all that filthiness that's on you. You see what I'm saying? Your mind is covered in that mud and that dirt. So you have to dip your mind into that water to clean that all off. And the only way to clean yourself and to come back to what your pure mind is, what? These scriptures is your pure mind. All right. The ways of the Most High is the pure way. But you've been born into sin. You've been born into this here world, up under Esau. All right. You've been born and growing up from your parents and so on and so forth, just telling you, you know, you ask a lot of Jake, why you Christian? I don't know why I'm Christian. My mama was Christian, whatever, whatnot. Why you eat pork? I don't know. My mom fed me pork. I don't know. You see what I'm saying? But we didn't know no better. But now we have to be what? Re-brainwashed. You see what I'm saying? We have to be purged of our old ways. That old man has to die. All right. But what the Most High said that YAHAWASHI says that the Most High revealed this into the babes, the ones that was clean to their minds. They had, you know, they let all these worldly things go. Not just things that you can attach to, but just the understanding and the thinking and the ways that the worlds go. You know, you see some of these people here in America that don't believe shit unless they hear it on the news. Oh, well, I heard it on CNN. It's got to be true. Oh, if you don't believe that, then you're a bug out, because I believe in CNN, or I believe in Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying? But you have to wash your ways from these types of thinking. All right. Come back to the spiritual things, not the carnal things, the things of man. All right. Verse 22, all things are delivered to me of my Father, and no man knoweth who the Son is but the Father, and who the Father is but the Son, and to whom the Son he will reveal him. Basically, you can't come to the Father nor the Son. You can't come to the Father unless the Son bring you. You can't come to the Son to be brought to the Father. At least the Father revealed, the Father revealed the Son unto you. All right. But it says, verse 23, and he turned him unto his disciples and said privately, blessed are the eyes which see the things you see. For I tell you that many prophets and kings have desired to see those things which you see and have not seen them, and to hear those things which you hear and have not heard them. All right. And that's going into one side of this. All right. Not the propaganda, but just seeing through the propaganda, seeing it writing on the wall. You basically seeing a righteous propaganda. All right. Because the Most High, like, let me grab that real quick. You know, because the question here, I'm going to just roughly paraphrase it. You know, in Matthew 24:3, they ask, what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? All right. Now let me jump down to verse, let me read verse 30. It says, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Verse 32. Now learn the parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender, he putteth forth his leaves, and you know summer is nigh. So likewise, when you shall see all these things, know that it is even near, even at the door. All right. So this is pretty much the propaganda of the Most High. All right. The Most High is pre-programming us, predictively programming us with certain things. He's telling you right now, look, learn the parable of the fig tree. All right. Or, I like to put it in a little bit more clear terms for you to be able to understand this today. Learn the damn service lights in your car. Learn what that mean when that little gas pump light come on in your car. At least your ass be on the side of the road out of gas. When you see the gas light come on in your car, it's a sign letting you know you're getting low on fuel. So you need to act accordingly to the signs that's given. All right. The same thing here. It's like when we see, like he said, learn the parable of the fig tree. When you see all these signs that he told us about, all right, all these prophecies coming to pass, Habakkuk 2, I believe 2:2. Though it tarry, wait for it. The vision is yet for a appointed time. All right. Though it tarry, wait for it. All right. So when we see these things, we have to be able to act accordingly. But then also blessed are your eyes which see these things. All right. Because why? The Most High and so-called, gave us, how do they say, subliminal messages. All right. And it's really only subliminal because why? Only our eyes are open to see these things while the rest of the world is blinded. That's the only reason it's really subliminal, but really it's really in the open. It's not really hidden. All right. But it's hidden to those that are lost. Like the scriptures say, verse, where's that? Thought it was, nevertheless, I'm going to just keep it going. I thought it was verse 13. But nevertheless, for time's sake, let me just continue on in my lesson. So from learning, like the scriptures say, blessed are your eyes will see these things, so you can see, the so-called predictive programming that the Most High have in store for us with these here scriptures. Like the scriptures say, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy time. All right. And then also when you see these here things come to pass, learn the parable of the fig tree. So it's a blessing unto us to be able to see these here things. But like, how the scriptures say Esau trying to be like the Most High, he has the same thing on the left-hand side. All right. So there's certain things that he does and that he put or he hide his message in his movies and all these other little things like that can also show you what his next little moves can be. All right. So when you see these things, all right, like the scripture say, blessed are your eyes when you see these things. All right. And when you see these things, look up for, your salvation drawing nigh. So you have to put these things together. All right. Also know, you can be able to measure the time diligently by looking at these things, but you don't want to just be watching like these TV shows for just enjoyment, pleasure, whatever, whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Hey man, it's all spiritual at the end of the day. All these things work together for basically for the good, for the Most High. He might put these spirits on these people to make these damn movies to help propagandize the people. You see what I'm saying? Getting them ready for war, but also it's something spiritual in there for you as well. You can see it's like, oh shit, we know, what a lot of these, talk shows or whatever, whatnot on the internet, podcasts or whatever, whatnot, these movies or whatever, whatnot, they showing all these alien invasions and whatever, whatnot, you should scratch your head and think, why the fuck are they pushing aliens and talking about interdimensional beings now? Okay. We can see what their propaganda is. They trying to get you to believe into that shit, but we know that they just prepping you for when this invasion of the Lord come with the angels. So we know that salvation is right around the door just by measuring the time diligently based off of Esau and his moves and what he pushing these things for. All right. You don't want to get caught up into those things with somebody telling you this and that. And they're like, you know what? There's a big push right now for alien propaganda. You just caught up in that Hebrew Israelites because they talking about UFOs. Like, nah, we understand that Esau predictively program you on this shit. So you be prepared for it when you see it. All right. So instead of you just thinking that this is a conspiracy theory, you should take heed to what the fuck is coming. All right. Let me go to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 real quick, because this is going into this damn devil, his other blessing. Because like I said in Genesis 27, talk about he was going to live by a sword. All right. So this is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. I'm going to read on down from verse 2. It says that you be not soon shaken in mind or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as the day of YAHAWASHI is at hand. Let no man deceive you. All right. So touching on some of these points, we didn't heard this a million times, but let me just touch on these points because it's very important dealing with this propaganda and Esau's his smaller sword, which is his tongue. All right. That deceitful ass tongue. All right. And knowing your enemy. All right. It says, let no man deceive you by any means. All right. So you got to understand that this deceiver is the damn devil. You got to also, like the scriptures say, we're not ignorant of Satan's devices so that he won't deceive us. All right. He's going to be coming with a lot of deceptive ways because he's the damn devil. All right. That's what the devil mean. Deceiver. All right. It says, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Now, how did that falling away, come. All right. That falling away came, I'm going to just, quote it, talking about in Psalms 83. All right. Them in their, their crafty counsel talking about cutting us off for being a nation. All right. They sat down and they came up with propaganda, schemes, plans and plots. All right. I forgot how they worded it in there where it says, they taking a crafty counsel. All right. That, just stating it that way is the perfect thing. They sat down and they took a crafty, you didn't just do it just a regular way. You know what I'm saying? You did it in a crafty type of way. You know what I'm saying? A intricate type of way. It wasn't just simply done. All right. You took a complex counsel. All right. You sat down and you consulted with other people about it. All right. And then you thought about it. You had what they modern day call think tanks. All right. These think tanks come and then they think about ways to devise wickedness against you and deceive you. All right. It says, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day should not come except there come a falling away first. In which we know that falling away, we actually, on the flip side of it, Psalms 83 is the beginning half of it. But the ending of it is what? Ezekiel 37, where we was going to be raised back up. That's why we had to be raised back up, because there was that falling away. He took away our heritage. But ultimately, at the same time, he's still trying to do that to the same day. He's trying to ultimately cut us all the way off, or create, the living walking dead, like how we were when we were, still in a Gentile state of mind. He basically trying to create a Edomite spirit inside of a Jake body. You know what I'm saying? So that you be basically propagandized, for Jake to go fight in the military for Esau. Like, yo, you don't realize this is your same captor trying to have you go take your own brother in the captivity. But see, because you propagandize, you don't even see these things. All right. Continuing on, let me just finish off in verse 3. It says, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. And that's what we're doing right now. Revealing that man of sin. All right. That devil, the deceiver. Verse 4, who opposeth and exalted himself above all that is called the Most High, or that is worship, so that he is God, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. And like I said, just like the Most High tells you, like, right, let me go back up. Let me see where it says, maybe I didn't get to it yet, but I'm gonna jump to it. It says, man, where is it at? Oh, verse 5. Shit, let me just read it all the way through. Salakia. It says, who opposes and exalted himself above all that is called God, or that is worship, so that he is God, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things. All right. So right here is a clear example of us being so-called predictively programmed by the Most High. Saying, look, remember ye not that when I was yet with you, back in these old days, the things that was written aforetime was written for our learning and our understanding in the foretime, in the future time, like right now where we're getting built up. So he's telling us ahead of time the things that's going to come to pass. You know what I'm saying? Like, when they telling you about coming into the truth, you got to expect temptation. You got to expect all these things, demons coming against you. That's telling you before it happens. You see what I'm saying? Or like the prophets, they telling you these things before they happen. All right. But what? The damn devil trying to be God himself, and he trying to do the same thing, predictively program you. Yeah, we about to go over there and invade Venezuela and take out their shit. So we're going to put it in the video game. So when it come to pass, you more susceptible for believing what we want you to believe rather than believing in the truth and believing what you see. All right. But nevertheless, hey, the so-called white man being the damn devil. Verse 6, and now you know what withholdeth that he might be revealed in this time. And that's why I'm saying, like right now, man, this is what we going into as we speak now. The reason I'm bringing this here out is so you can understand your enemy, so he can be fully revealed right now. So it's not a mystery of why, you know what I'm saying? Why y'all always calling the so-called white man the damn devil? Why you think he the damn devil? Like, yo, I don't have to call him the devil from what he did to me personally or nothing like that. I can give you a whole other scenario about a bunch of Edomites dealing with other Edomites and some other shit they done came out with that ain't got shit to do with Jake, and show you that they the damn devil. All right. Edomites was in the damn, military that came up with this plan and plot to create these video games in Hollywood and shit like that. Edomites is the ones that run all of that shit, the music industry, the Hollywood, the video games and all that shit. And they doing it for what? To recruit into their damn military to go and fight and kill other Edomites and other nations and stuff like that. So they ain't really got shit to do with Jake. But what, at the end of the day, hey, their own tongue is falling against them, but he being revealed as being a damn devil, the damn deceiver. All right. So it says, verse 7, for the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out the way. All right. Now, I'm going to just roughly paraphrase a couple scriptures because I just spoke on this. Obadiah 1:6, talking about how the things that Esau sought out and the things searched up. All right. Now there's another scripture that goes, second to this, verse 8, where it says, I think it's in Psalm 64, in verse 3, if I'm not mistaken, or verse, I think it's verse 3 that says, to make his tongue to fall upon, I got to get it because I might misquote it. What is it? Psalm 6? No, not Psalm 64. Might be Psalm 68. No, Salakia. Psalm 64 and 8. Yep. It says, all right, so the original question is, how does things of Esau sought up and searched out? All right, so, the secondary part of this is verse 8. It says, so to make their own tongue to fall upon themselves, all that see them shall flee away. And so going back to what we reading, or what we just read in that news article, all right, the so-called white man is bringing this out. All right, these RT people is exposing the so-called white man. All right, now verse 8 talks about another way, all right, which you witnessing right now, 2 Thessalonians 2:8. Then shall that wicked, which is the so-called white man, the damn devil, be revealed. All right, because it's a mystery. You walking around him, how is he the devil? Why he the devil? I don't see it. I don't get it. He's covertly, he's very subtle. He's not overtly. He's not out in the open. We'll walk up to you like, man, fuck y'all niggas, man. We riding on all y'all niggas, man. Fuck y'all. Y'all can get it anyway. Y'all want it. That's how Jake is. But the so-called white man, like I gave you in the example, with homegirl in the bank, or Esau with his subprime mortgage loans. He come in the Tuskegee experiment. Yeah, we want to run some tests for this, and that, and come to find out, his outcome was to destroy you. All right. So the men of the Lord are revealing this damn devil for who he really is. All right. And also, like I just said, we're not just coming out of our own heart telling you this, going back to Psalm 64 and 8. Hey, man, this came out of an article written by other white people. Their own tongue is exposing him. But this is just why the so-called white man is the damn devil. All right. Verse 8 said, then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. And see, first and foremost, he's being destroyed and exposed right now by what? The men of the Lord calling his ass out. But when the Lord come back, he's going to actually physically be destroyed. All right. Verse 9, even him who's coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. So he coming against you with all power of what? Of the adversary, somebody against you, not to help you. All right. He's not creating video games and stuff like that to secretly, to brainwash you to exercise and to eat right and to be good and kind to people. I can understand if it was one thing like that. He was, predictively programming you to be good unto yourself with these video games. But no, he's creating all these things in these music videos and movies and musicians and shit like that to destroy yourself. All right. Becoming a walking abomination. All right. It says, and let me go back. It says, even him who's coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders, with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish. All right. With all deceivableness, again, his lying ass tongue, with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth that they might be saved. For this cause, the Most High shall send them a strong delusion that they shall believe a lie. So they ain't gonna be able to see the truth. It's like we were opened up with blessed your eyes would see. You see the clear in the day. You know what I'm saying? You see clearly. All right. But what? Those that want to keep believing on this damn devil, they want to keep believing this here. A lot of Most High going to give them over to these strong delusions, to believe in this propaganda. All right. Believing all these damn lies and stuff like that. All right. Just like, you want to believe that believe in the news, what they say about Nicolas Maduro. Like, why is everybody saying this? Like, well, shit, look at your track record. We can start wherever you want to start, but let's just start with Iraq and bring it on up to this modern day. You've been saying the same damn story, but you got the same outcome, man. You just rape, robbing, and destroying. All right. Let me just grab a couple more scriptures and I'm gonna close out. Because the so-called white man is doing these things for a certain reason. All right. This propaganda. I don't know why, man. The so-called white man is doing this propaganda for a reason, all right? To conquer your mind, to shape your mind, and to get you to agree with the wickedness that he's doing, all right? To keep him in power, all right? Like the scripture also say, the truth is basically know the truth, and the truth will set you free, all right? If we keep believing that the so-called white man is God and he can't do no wrong, and all his wickedness that he's doing is actually righteousness, then who gonna really stop him? Who gonna challenge him? All right? But if you actually see him for the wickedness that he is, and you keep calling out all his wickedness, then he can't really go nowhere, all right? Job 5:12, it says, he disappointed the device of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the forward is carried headlong. All right. So basically, like I said, this propaganda is for a reason, to shaping your minds and all these things. But the Most High said, look, he disappointed the device of the crafty so that they cannot perform their enterprise. He's not going to get all this stuff that he's putting all these millions, if not billions of dollars into shaping your mind and creating all these things to get you to serve him wholeheartedly like that. Well, save the elect. You know, the elect, they're not going to, let me close out with this, because he's not going to be able to fulfill this thing. This is Job 20:18. It says, that which he labored for shall he restore, and shall not swallow it down. According to his substance shall the restitution be, and he shall not rejoice therein. All right. Now let me get to verse 22. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. When he is about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him. He shall rain it upon him while he is eaten. He shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through. So that's the end all be all. The Most High is going to disappoint the devices of the crafty. And right now, Esau's pushing out heavily in the news a bunch of propaganda amongst the entertainment world with music, media, sports, entertainment. You know, there's all kind of bullshit stories going all around the world to further do what? To distract you from these things. All right. That's why the scripture just said that what? The ones that's lost, they just want to believe this lie, this delusion, this propaganda that the so-called white man is pushing out on every front. All right. The devil coming down with great wrath because he know he got but a short time. All right. He need to keep you persuaded under his ways of wickedness, thinking that that's righteousness, so he can continue on with his plan. All right. He's almost done with getting his so-called, kingdom and full wickedness accomplished. But what, like we just read here, when he's about to fill his belly, basically he gonna vomit it all back up. All right, the Most High gonna rain these nuclear missiles down upon him. All right, and it's looking at, you know, briefly touching back on those video games, looking at how they was highlighting the Venezuela situation and all that. Hey man, the writing on the wall is clear, man. That's why I opened up with blessed your eyes will see the things that you see. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and close out with that. Lord willing, this here lesson was edifying unto the elect. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahawah, Bahashim, YAHAWASHI, Bahashim, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you, Akim, pushing this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Stay strong. Shalom.